Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phi and this is Money Philosophy. Thank you for coming back for another day of Tesla analysis. Today we will focus on technical analysis. We will take a look at Tesla price action for the day and project out for tomorrow as well as the rest of the week and possibly into next week. Tesla ended the day today at 1162, down almost 5% from yesterday. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I am a growth stock investor and a trader, and I'd love to share with you my investing and trading journeys. Let's get right into it. So over the weekend, there were a lot of chats about a potential crash in Tesla stock of over 20% even. As we see today, Tesla ended the day at $59 in the red, so not even 5% in the red. So it is definitely better than expected for many. And for me, $60 to the downside is definitely just a mini correction. The volume is only 123%, which is higher than average, but definitely not crazy. If Elon decided to sell his 23 million shares, which is roughly about 2% of Tesla ownership, he could easily do that through Goldman Sachs or some sort of private offering where another institutions or several other institutions would be very interested in buying those shares, even at a premium. So the price action for today is purely just based on perception. People, particularly shareholders, probably wouldn't like the fact that Elon would be selling his shares. So they're trying to sell the shares and liquidate out of Tesla early, in their opinion, so that they would not have to catch the falling knife. In my mind, these decisions are misguided. So I hope that as prudent investor, you guys scoop up some shares at the bottom of today. But there might be opportunities in the coming days. So you can see that in the morning, you had a lot of buying power going into Tesla, especially when Tesla hit the bottom of about 1134. A lot of buyers jump in at that time. The volume was also ginormous in the morning. If you look at this bar here, the selling volume is very little, but the buying volume is ginormous, and it continued through the second 15-minute and the third 15 minutes. So for the first, I want to say 45 minutes of the day, a lot of buyers were jumping in with this dip here. Tesla never reached 1206, which is the pivot point here, as I had projected. It moved sideways for a little while at the resistance point of 1189. And then retraced toward the end of the day back down to 1159, which is pretty much the lower end of my bull flag. So for all intents and purposes, my hourly bull flag is still intact. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, unless and until Tesla falls below 1160 and hold below that number, then and only then my hourly bull flag would cancel. So for now, I would still keep my bull flag there. So for perspective, let me zoom out a little bit to show you my hourly bull flag. So all the green lines here are my bull flag with the first price target of 1276 and the second price target of 1342. So I do think that Tesla still has potential to get up there at some point in the near future, but the immediate price action tells me that Tesla is somewhat bearish, although it probably will want to at some point fill the gap. So the gap that it created this morning was from when it closed on Friday, which is around 1220, down to 1160. So this is roughly a $60 gap. Tesla did a good job in trying to fill it this morning, but it couldn't. So it is entirely possible that tomorrow Tesla would fill that gap, or sometime later this week it will fill that gap and then consolidate. If Tesla cannot fill this gap by the end of the week and continue to consolidate right around 1160, 1145 area, then likely fall back down to 1128, 1114 and 1097. So those are some of the watch out points for Tesla. If Tesla can fill the gap and stay above 1216, which is the upper end of my bull flag here, then chances are that it will continue to spike back up, and today was just a blip. So the trading range for tomorrow on the upper pivot point at 1195, which also coincides with the high point of the day today for Tesla, the highest point. The middle pivot point would be 1164. The bottom pivot point is 1100. So these are the three pivot points that I would like to observe. But if we zoom out on the daily chart, we know that there is a gap that is not yet filled, and that is around 1195 to 1222, right? So Tesla never filled that gap today. If Tesla were to fill that gap tomorrow, it would have to spike through the upper pivot point, spike through the upper end of my hourly bull flag in order to close that gap. It is possible, but probably not very likely. The more likely scenario would be Tesla opens flat, move up a little bit, hit yesterday's high, and then move down. Alternatively, Tesla could also gap down and then move up to fill the gap, hit the middle pivot point, and then continue up to the highest point of yesterday. My favorite scenario to trade would be if Tesla gaps down. I would definitely participate in a day trade for Tesla to close the gap, hit this pivot point at 1164, and depending on volume and momentum, I probably would hold it for it to hit the top pivot point and the highest point of yesterday. That would be the only time when I trade Tesla. A gap down would means that A, it wants to fill that gap, and B, it would likely touch one or two of these upper pivot points here. It is entirely possible that Tesla gaps down, continue to move down, but I will take the odds that Tesla will attempt to fill the gap first. So opening gap aside, let's take a look at a bigger picture on the daily chart to see if Tesla were to move down to 1145 and then 1128, if there's a good opportunity to enter any kind of call option here. Keep in mind we have a mini gap from the last time it created that has not yet been filled, from 1145 down to 1118. So this particular gap here was not filled. Tesla could easily fill that gap by getting to 1118. Right now it is at 1162, so 1118 is give or take about $45 to the downside. It is not too difficult for Tesla to get there within a day or two. So if Tesla does get there, it would be a good point to add shares. I personally would add every time it hit my support point. So 1145, 1128, 1114, 1097, 1078, 1044. For me to enter a call option, it has to be a big opening gap. I would likely be entering for a day trade and or potential swing trade depending on volume. For me to enter a leap call option, I'd like to see Tesla get back to 1044. If you look at the S&P 500 or SPY ETF here, I don't see it is doom and gloom. This is just consolidating candles. So it doesn't seem like Tesla would be crashing following the SPY anytime soon. Admittedly, the volume is kind of low over the last 2 days. Actually, over the last few weeks, the volume has been consistently below 100%. But I don't see any major divergence, and I don't see any signal or daily candle that shows that a reversal is imminent. Let's also take a look at the QQQ for the technology sector overall. The QQQ looks like it is also moving slightly lower than the highest point. The highest was $401, and now we're at $398. The volume once again is only 66%, so definitely below the 30-day average, but I still don't see any signal of an imminent reversal. But keep in mind that from here on out, Tesla only is going to have good news. You're looking at Berlin and Austin ramping up and potentially producing some vehicles in the month of November or December. You're looking at Shanghai increase in capacity and deliveries. We know that Shanghai has been producing very good numbers, and the month of October is no exception. In fact, it might be the best month in Shanghai history. We know that Q4 delivery would sum up the entire year, and that would be released the first week of January. So from here until then, I only see good news so from here until January 3rd, I only see good news for Tesla. And assuming Tesla is going to have another blowout quarter in Q4, the earnings for Q4, which will be released by the end of January, would be fantastic, right? So if we have in front of us an opportunity for a correction, an opportunity of a mini correction, of a correction, whether a mini correction or a major correction, it is in our interest to accumulate shares if we want to hold Tesla long term. So that is my general strategy, and that is both my strategy for trading and investing. I hope you find it helpful. So comment down below if you have any additional thoughts, and thank you for all of your feedback over the last few days. I've learned a lot from all of you. The purpose of the channel is to exchange open information with all of you guys on my understanding of the stock as well as your understanding of the stock, and we all together could create a great community of Tesla investors and traders. So thank you very much for all of your feedback, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye!